Hey folks, welcome to this behind the scenes bonus process video. This is actually the first video of this new series I'm starting on Patreon. This one will be at all tiers. Most of these bonus videos, as you already know, are at the platinum tier or gold tier now if you're grandfathered in. This is a great book. So I browse. I've had this for many years. I have volume 1 too somewhere, but um, it's a lot of stuff, just like his chord chemistry. And Ted Greene, um, for those of you who don't know Ted Greene, he's kind of a very mysterious figure because he's not like Wes Montgomery or um, George Benson, Pat Martino. He's a guitar legend, kind of like Lenny Breau too. Fingerstyle, lots of quiet solo guitar. I mean, that was pretty much what he did, was just solo guitar music. But he only recorded one album called Solo Guitar, as far as I'm aware of. There's some live footage of him on YouTube that I posted. I recommend checking out some of his clinics. So if you don't know Ted Greene, again, it's like guitar guru, kind of like Lenny Breau or Joe DiOrio or Howard Roberts. But he's also was a really great teacher and author. This stuff can be pretty heavy. So Michael, and there's no tab as far as I'm aware. So I'm releasing a lot of this materials. Of course, this is for you guys on Patreon. I'm tabbing it out, as you can also see here on the screen, many of these examples. So I kind of started here in book 2, just so you know. I'll go back to book 1 as you can find it again. But I'm just going to be pointing out some main concepts at first on what I feel is important. I actually changed some of these fingerings around too. So I'm going to start you off. Let me just kind of show you the table of contents, because I know not all of you have his books. And I don't know how hard they are to find these days or not. But this one starts off with playing. Here, I'll just let you look at it. Then I'll talk. Playing through changes. Chromatic tones, lower neighbor tones, upper neighbor tones, chromatic passing tones. I've talked a lot about that in depth. Playing through changes. So let me talk about what he says about this. Condensed arpeggios. So there's that term, condensed arpeggios. He also calls them later arpeggio fragments. More on soloing in one position. Okay, that's very big. Soloing in one position, being able to navigate through changes, playing through changes. He calls it progressions for soloing over. And this is all 1625 that you're seeing on the screen here. In the key of D. Number 3, soloing over fast changes, focusing on higher chord tones, essential notes, sparse playing. Number 4, slurring and decoration. Part 2, consecutive pull-offs, hammer-on, slides, grace notes, phrasing essentially, right? Number 5, rhythm and phrasing, accents, syncopation, polyrhythms, rhythmic displacement, legato, staccato, ghost notes, vibrato, delayed notes. I mean, how can you teach all this stuff through a book? So that's what we're going to do together. Melodic patterns. This is number 6, in positions, lengthwise. Number 7, more on shifting, connecting positions. Number 8, complete solos. Number 8, complete solos and developing a melody line. Number 9, the minor 7 flat 5 sounds, right? That means melodic minor, right? 4 common scales, arpeggios, chord forms, and runs. Number 10, the melodic minor scale. Chord forms, arpeggio runs, a minor 7th scale, minor 6, minor 6, 9 chords. The harmonic minor scale is all chapter 10. Chord forms, minor key solo. Number 11, the diminished 7th chord. Chord forms, arpeggio runs, a diminished scale runs, modern diminished 7th types of arpeggios. Number 12, basing your solo on the given melody, decorating around melody, jazz treatments of a plain melody. There's going to be some good stuff to talk about. Number 13, the diatonic view, tonal centers and tonal scales, diatonic 7th chords, diatonic playing, special treatment of the 3, Phrygian, Aeolian, diatonic chords. So, diatonic scales, understanding chord progressions. I've talked a lot about that on Patreon. I say have the chord-scale relationship. Again, we'll see his take on it. That's going to be a little bit different from mine. Definitely going to be more advanced materials. Alter Dom, but I've been wanting to kind of share and dive into more advanced concepts on Patreon. as I feel like I really covered a lot of the basic easy soloing strategies pretty thoroughly. Pentatonic scales, diatonic and harmonic minor melodic and whole tone. He doesn't talk about whole tone in this particular book, or does he? Oh, number 14. I almost forgot the last chapter. Alter dominant scales, half whole, of course. Uh, sharp 9 arpeggio chord forms. He thinks a lot of chord shapes. The whole tone scale, chord forms and arpeggios. Parting comments. So that's it. So there's a lot of good stuff. Again, in this Ted Greene book, like dense. So playing through changes. I'm just going to read this in because I know many of you don't have this book. So yeah, if this is boring, sorry you don't have to watch it, but for those interested, let's chat. Playing through changes. I know you're all interested. That's why you're here on Patreon. While we have already touched on the concept of soloing through changes in Volume 1, there's a good chance that more examples and discussion will prove helpful. So we're really going to hit it now, quote. In this chapter, there will be many more musical examples. Good, we want examples illustrating the principle of staying in one position. Now, to me, that's very important. That's really understanding the fretboard and, being. Some exercises are, playing 2/5 licks, scales and modes in one position, switching keys, triads, all that stuff. While focusing on various chords, there is one new visual tool with these lines, namely diagrams, and that's one thing I can't really show here. So I'm going to figure out how to draw that for you, these little diagrams. But I think I'm just going to take pictures and then paste them in like I did that one picture, and I'll show you guys that a little bit more carefully, because he draws in diagrams, and they're not chord forms. They look like they're chord forms, but they're not, because look at you have multiple notes on the same string. They're basically scale and arpeggio shapes, but they look like chord forms, and you can see like he's arpeggiating. So, but he uses this term, condensed arpeggios. He put it in big and bold, all caps. Staying in one position using condensed arpeggios. The reason for giving these condensed versions to focus on instead of the whole arpeggios is that they will help you to achieve faster results in learning to solo in one position. Just give them a chance and you will see. To further explain, when you have to solo over, say, general progressions such as D major 7, B7 sharp 5, E minor 9, A7 sharp 5, you might focus visually on the following diagrams to at least get your bearings. So he says this, then he does this, then he does this, then he does this. And to me, my mind is when I'm looking at these little diagrams here of what that was just from the diagram. I just played the diagram. No notation, no tabs. And again, I kind of like that because, we see all these lines here on the screen, these examples, but this is just going. Don't know about the last one, but just, having fun with shapes and diagrams. That's, I think, very valuable as play, use a shape, but improvise off it instead of here he wrote this line. It's an exercise formal, but when he just draws those little diagrams, you have to be creative with it. So again, that's what we want to start to focus a lot of. Not just playing what's on the screen here, even though I'm going to do a lot of the transcribing, arranging part so that you can see it in tabs. Let me go on. I'm just going to read this first couple pages here to give you the introduction. This is, again, at all tier levels here on Patreon. Notice that these little fragments stay pretty much in one position. The A7, sharp 9, sharp 5 does not quite, but sometimes, it does not quite stay in one position, but sometimes. If you want certain notes, you'll have to shift up or down in one position. That's true. Also, you'll see in this chapter how condensed arpeggios give you easily grasped general framework for building good lines that have smooth transitions, one chord to the next. And this is very important to me because I think, there's a lot of resource for scales and arpeggios, 2, 3 octaves, but this is kind of showing you how to make music from just 1 octave. Quick pause here for a second. Excuse me. All right, sorry about that. I get make some iced coffee here. All right, so back to our study group here. So we want to have smooth transitions, these little condensed arpeggios, he calls them. In the the musical examples to follow, the condensed arpeggios serve as the main tones, while the other tones in the runs are taken from some complete scales. So this is where, to me, you want to have a good knowledge of the basic scales and modes and all that stuff already. This is advanced material, I'm just going to say that, because then he's going to throw in notes around that you should kind of know, to the chord what the scale is coming from. He's not only going to stick with those notes in these diagrams. And I'll post this page here. I'll post these. I know I'm talking through it, so I'll go ahead and take pictures of these, but I'm not going to take pictures of the whole book and post it. I'm just going to do these first 2 pages here. The condensed arpeggios will contain 6 notes each, okay? This number being chosen for 2 reasons. 6 notes can be absorbed by the mind, eyes, and ears, and hands pretty easily. Suggestion, try breaking each diagram into 2 groups of 3 notes when memorizing it. I like that a lot. D major triad, and then kind of a, what is that? partial triad off A, like A6. But he's saying this and this. Not even going to label it, but the first is definitely D. But when you put it together, but he might do this. He might add a chromatic note. He might go. So there's going to be other notes added in. That's what he's kind of also saying. But he's still visualizing. And then this, maybe for the B7 here, he wrote this. What is he right there? This. You can see here on this example here that you're looking at on the chart. That's like a D sharp dim, essentially. But he makes it augmented. See the chord? So it has that quality of that flat 9 and the sharp 5. That's why it says B7 flat 9 augmented. So he's saying that. He's going to just break it up. And this is where you just turn on one loop and just do that. And then this next chord. So all I'm doing is taking what's written here, right on the tabs. You can see it, these arpeggios, and playing around with these arpeggios, because you can't see these diagrams, but that's what he wrote there. These are essentially those diagrams. Again, I'm going to post this page. I'll take a picture, screenshot of this page, and then share it with you too. But these are the concepts. This is going to be the most important lesson of this chapter. So I'll probably do this for every chapter of the book. Trying to do as much as I can of the most important elements, and then that way everybody has on Patreon. And of course, if you want the bonus video lessons, I'll be walking through it through the bonus videos. But of all the tabs and PDFs and sound slices will be for all tiers on Patreon, of course. So let's go on. Here's 6 notes give a full and rich sound from which many interesting and varied runs can be easily derived. 6 notes, not 7. Not a scale, kind of a combo of an arpeggio and some scale notes. Here's a suggested routine to follow with the condensed arpeggios and accompanying musical examples. Number one, learn the given arpeggio diagrams listed above the music first. That's this one that we talked about. Excuse me. Well, I did this one already. Actually, he has it in a different position. He skipped it, but I'm going to go back and do this position because he has notation. He has some grids, but I'm actually going to do this. He's just mainly in 7th position. I'm going to start here because I like to think off the chord shape, so I might do this. That's like a D major 9. He wrote it over here. He wrote, what did he write? Fingering wise, it's not, there's no tab, so he wrote this. Same thing. It's a cool shape, actually. Kind of a stretch, though, as you can see. It's, you hear this? You hear this? This is friendlier to the fingers. And then he wrote this one, just the notes again. Actually, you can see it. This is what's written here. this is route number 1. Even though later on he'll show it over in the other position of here, 7th position. Starting on the 10th fret though. In the E minor, step 11, or E minor 9, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of this flavor here. So he starts with the E minor, and then D major triad. It's like that's how you get the Okay. Then on the A7, he's got this. And I think of that as a B flat melodic minor. Back to the D major 7 again. Look at these examples here that I have posted from him. These are his note for note examples, by the way. But what I just played for you. Oh, then he's got something else on the D major 9 here at the very end. He's got this. So he's thinking this A major triad and then F sharp minor. A lot of these upper extensions. Again, this is why I call it more advanced, because you're superimposing quite a bit. That's all the first page is. Again, I'll go ahead and make sure I share that first page. The other stuff, and I'll share the second page too, because I've already posted these. These are now where the runs come in, the lines and the licks. And that's what you already see right here on the sound slice in the key of D. I didn't do the one in B flat, but I'll start off with the D ones first. He's got it in B flat, then he has in A, a lot in A actually. These should all be transposed. These are just a reinforcement of essentially the same concept. So I'll probably share, again, there's a lot. There's a lot of lines in here. Looks like some really nice ones. These are all over 1-6-2-5, and then in F, and he's got some new shapes. So there's, again, it's pretty dense. So let's not worry about that. Again, I think it's very important just to stay focused on. Ooh, then he's breaking up that it's not just 1-6-2-5 anymore. And he's got some other progressions. Then he goes into the 4-note arpeggio fragments, and I'm excited to go over that with you guys too. I was looking at his concepts for that. Let's just play through a few of these lines here. Oh, I guess I should read that second page too. Speaking of musical examples, they are only that, examples. It is hoped that they will inspire you to give you some ideas for making up your own runs from these arpeggios. Play a scale that fits with each arpeggio shape. So that's important too. He's also showing, like, here's your scale that goes with those arpeggios. That's how he writes out scales. That's what he's saying. Play these scales, the major scale, for the B7, the alter scale. Just have those arpeggios and scales down. And then you want to create from it. Um, and that's where it gets going to some of these examples. Make up your own runs. Try applying some of what you learned in two other keys. Play examples. He use slow tempo. He says slow, even tempo. Okay, slow and even. Jazz eights, regular eights. Jazz eights is just kind of an accent on the ands, or just regular straight. There will be condensed arpeggios a list of condensed arpeggios. That's going to be important at the end of of this chapter, covering some colors that you have studied so far. Colors like that. I hope it'll be of use for you. There will also be a list of chord progressions that you might want to practice over. That's going to be useful too. Please note, in case you are not aware, that any arpeggio works over its own chord. Example. Now, I'm going to read this example. D major 9 arpeggio works over any D major type. We already know that. So D major 6 9, D major 7, D major add 9. Okay? It's a just D major run. One last but important point. Ready for this? Arpeggios aren't meant to lock you so much into what you are going to play as where you might play. This is interesting. In other words, they form a strong visual outline. Okay, visual outline. Because when I think that's true also. You know, sometimes arpeggios you can just outline the chord progression, but you think of them as shapes, arpeggios, and let's see what he says here. They form a strong visual outline of where the activity can take place, not so much what the activity might be. If you study some of the musical examples carefully and compare them with the arpeggio diagrams from which they are derived, these words will have more meaning to you, and they already do just from looking and playing through some of these examples. So again, let me know in the comments if you are enjoying this. This is a long lesson, I'm sorry, but it's the first one of this series, so I'm going to give it a proper introduction. So let's take a look here at a couple of these lines now. The first ones are just the arpeggio. Again, he's thinking this and this, and then he wrote out this line. And he put a D major here. That wasn't in it going up. But again, that's... Again, so now, I mean, I would probably just mess around with these shapes, not necessarily worrying about playing it note for note, but let's do it super slow. 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and E minor 9, A7 sharp 5. Turn it up a little bit. E minor 9. B7, E minor, and by the way, I'm ending my phrase on where he's ending it each time, just to show you that there's space, but it is just looping the 4 bars, 1, 6, 2, 5. Here, let's play it as written. Ready? Number 1. You do it. And 3. I should put on a metronome next time. Play better in my loop. Let's do it one more time together. 1 and 3. Here we go. Okay, let's go on. I'm going to redo that loop. It was bothering me. And this is just bossa nova straight 8th feel as he recommends. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, It's hard to do it slow. Well, that's sweet. I like this one a lot. Again, he's now just creating lines from it, but he's adding some other notes that are not in there too. You'll discover that, right? Here it is. It's a nice one. Again, this is a part of the practice. Hopefully you'll mess around with this more. I'm just kind of playing this with you right now. Of course, it's already on Sound Slice. Ready? Here we go. Leave some space. Play some chords too. Here we go. 3, 4. Then fill in, make up your own phrase. Right on the E minor. Here we go. I'm gonna go. And verbatim. Of course, you're gonna make mistakes like I just did, and you're gonna improvise. And that's okay. Making mistakes. Really, it's okay. But hopefully you're getting inspired. Okay, now you're going to notice the tabs over here go to the 7th position here, the 7th fret. So basically you're like capo here. This is a big stretch. You got to be careful of this one for those of you who have trouble stretching 4, 3, 4 frets, 5 frets. But you want the same idea here. Let's try 3, 4. Just jump in. Right here. Again, he resolves it, which is nice. And then you have to leave space, or you could just fill in. So this is again right out of his book here. These examples. There's a few more examples here. Let's just finish it. I know this is a long lesson, but this is a good one to get us started with this. Let's just play through these a few more, and you can always push play. But it's nice to put on your own loop here. So you might have to map it out a little bit. again, a lot of it's about the shapes and the fingerings. I like that. Right. I love that. Okay, let's do the next one. Get ready. Here we go. Got off a little bit there. I'm gonna jump in on E minor though. That's sweet. One more time. Try to see if I can get it right. But again, it's not necessarily about playing it note for note. That's just the game of it, but alright, we got one more. Same, this is 7th position here. Here we go. That triplet threw me off there. I'll try to get it right next time. It'd be nice to put the rhythm. Don't forget that you guys can do this too. Show the stems on there. That helps me. Buzzy. Let's see if we get this last example here. I'm gonna jump in right here on the E minor. Hear the chromatic. Notice the 9. 9's very sweet, very pretty to end on. Very extended. Ready from the top. Let's do this last one again. Get the phrasing of it. Sing it. Find that voicing. Jump in. Jump in on the E minor right here with me. You know, then we can speed it up a little bit too, but it's nice to, and you know, maybe just get a couple of these shapes down. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1, and 3, 4. It's bossa nova. 3 and for the backbeat. Uh-oh. My loop got caught there. 2, 3, 4. You can also put D sharp dim there. I don't know what that was. Let me do that again. I was talking. 2, 3, 4. Right here, I'll do like. E minor. B7. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know. Sorry it's so long. Actually, I'm not sorry. hope you enjoyed it again. And we'll see you guys next time.